Hey, this is Tim. I'm just going to do a brief report today on the Pope Francis going to Jordan, landing in Jordan, and he's going to progress his way into Israel and to Bethlehem. This is a really interesting story. This is actually a pretty interesting interview here of the Pope landing in Jordan, and just for laughs, I think this reporter gets paid for every time she calls the Pope a humble man. She probably gets $500. But so she'd be pretty wealthy. But what's interesting outside of this is that the title of my article is that the Pope shakes up Middle East, and I'm going to kind of connect to another article after this introduction with the Pope. But yes, the Pope, in a prelude to him visiting Jerusalem, southern Israel has had an earthquake. Not a big earthquake, but the point is it's symbolic. I personally believe that the earth wants to vomit up whatever this ecumenical interfaith dialogue that the Pope is up to behind the scenes. So those in Israel, get out your motion sickness bags because it seems like the earth is acting up with the arrival of this Pope. And we'll continue with this interesting, this is an interesting piece by CNN. Listen to all the people they name that are traveling with them and some of the concerns they have. So it's pretty interesting.
We have the Pope, Pope Francis here arriving, about to set foot here in the Middle East for his first official visit. And as you said, could be very controversial. We know his first meeting today after these pleasantries here at the Queen Alia International Airport in Amman will be with the King and Queen of Jordan, called just a courtesy visit. And you see here, customarily, some flowers are presented, often by children there, and you're seeing those. What's interesting about this, Becky, is that the Pope is traveling with both a Christian friend and a Muslim friend, both advisors here. Do you think that is strategy, or indeed just bringing along two people who I guess any religious leader would take with him?
Well, let me tell you, they are very old friends. They're friends from Argentina, Rabbi Abraham Gorka, who actually co-wrote a book with the Pope, and Sheikh Omar Aboud, who leads Argentina's Muslim community. I have no doubt that there is some strategy in this. This has very much been built as a sort of interfaith dialogue. Originally, this was about a 50th anniversary of the rapprochement of two branches of Christianity, and he'll be meeting, this will be, again, quite a controversial meeting with the ecumenical patriarch here, Bartholomew. And that's at the end of the trip. But there is no doubt, and you rightly point out, that traveling with these two buddies of his gives the impression, and certainly he will hope, will spread the word of peace. And as I pointed out at the beginning, this is all, of course, amid the stalled peace process. He's meeting with Abbas when he gets across the border. He's looking to meet with the Israeli Prime Minister as well, and a number of other quite controversial religious figures. And when I say controversial, that has been in the
Didn't even mention Netanyahu, just mentioned the boss.
So look for some pretty interesting, let me say, speeches and stops on what is this 2.5-day tour.
Becky, we're seeing him right now do what he does best and what he says he loves most is being close to people, talking to people. And we understand
Correct.
that he is not going to use bulletproof vehicles on this trip. He has kind of shunned high security, I've read, so he can be, quote, close to the people. And we just saw that there.
Yeah.
And so what do you make of that on this trip? I mean, how dangerous might this trip be? Because we had heard that there's graffiti written saying Jesus is garbage and death to Arabs and Christians and all those who hate Israel. What is the concern for him?
Yes, and you're absolutely correct. That's graffiti that's being daubed on the walls of the Catholic Centre that he'll be holding a meeting at. Of course, it's been got rid of now. Look, certainly in a country like Amman, where security is also always very, very tight, they will be concerned. But this is a man who, as we know, is very modest. He likes to get in amongst the people. He's got 25,000 people at the city stadium in 2 hours' time, and I'll be there at that stadium for the match. He'll be doing a tour in an open-top Pope-mobile, effectively. He'll be coming in today in what is a red Pope vehicle. It's within a motorcade, and that is what they've used on the previous papal visits here. And don't forget, this is the fourth papal visit of this modern era. But yes, I think security will be absolutely paramount for those who are looking after him here, as it were. But this is a man who does not shy away from wanting to get in amongst the people. He, as I say, is a very modest man, and he will want to be meeting and greeting. He has, I think, 400 kids on the banks of the River Jordan later on. It will be their first baptism. So, you know, this is a very important trip for him.
Here we have the report about the earthquake that occurred in southern Israel. It says it was a 4.1. Again, it's just symbolic of the Pope's visit. It said it happened at 10:30 a.m. on Saturday morning, and it was felt all the way into Jerusalem. And so, very interesting that a earthquake coincides with the Pope's visit to Jordan as he begins his ecumenical march here. This is the itinerary kind of what's going on. This is from Friday. It says Pope Francis faces political and religious minefield in the Holy Land. This article has a bunch of interesting things in here. It's a 3-day tour from Jordan, Palestine, and Israel. And as most of you know, that the Pope is basically going to do a mass in Bethlehem. So this is really a political venture for the Vatican here. They're really trying to force this occupied territory issue, because there's very little that they're doing in relation to Jerusalem or to Israel. Most of it, if I'll show you as we go through this article, most of it is that there has a lot of imagery of the Palestinians suffering under the Israelis, and they have it set up for that. So, visit to the state of Palestine. The Vatican and Palestine are both non-voting observer nations in UN's General Assembly, but it has been noted by some as significant that the Vatican's own schedule for the visit refers to Mahmoud Abbas as president of the state of Palestine. 10 months of meetings between the Palestinian Authority and the Vatican over a deal expected to be signed this year on the Catholic Church status in areas governed by the Palestinian Authority have also been treated as negotiations between sovereign states. Vatican spokesman Reverend Federico Lombardi has said that the use of the State of Palestine reflects the UN General Assembly's 2012 resolution upgrading Palestine's status, although it has irritated Israeli officials. So this is interesting. He's going to fly into to this heliport, and of course we have the mysterious Phoenix Center, where he's going to meet ordinary people, as they say. The children chosen to meet the ordinary people chosen to meet at the Phoenix Center are from families with someone who was martyred, injured, or jailed, and also some ordinary people as well. Is there anything that the Vatican does that isn't totally 100% political? Each child will wear a t-shirt with the name of the village the family was originally displaced from. Oh, gosh. So we go down here. They're going to go to the manger scene. Let's see, Rachel's tomb. Meeting with Israeli officials. Francis will meet Mahmoud Abbas in the presidential compound in Bethlehem. But his official meetings with Israeli political leaders have been arranged to avoid the contentious international status of occupied East Jerusalem. He will be officially welcomed to Israel by President Shimon Peres after flying by helicopter to Ben Gurion Airport in Tel Aviv from Bethlehem. His private meeting with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will be at the Notre Dame Center in Jerusalem, which is Vatican sovereign territory. So here we got the Vatican, just like a tick, burrowing into different countries, having sovereign territory, even in Jerusalem. This is the controversial section with the Mass in the ecumenical. For a minority of Jewish religious extremists, the most controversial part of the trip will be a visit to the ecumenical, or the Room of the Last Supper in Jerusalem, located on the second floor of the stone complex on the remains of the Byzantine church in the Old City. Before the Ottoman period, the building was administered by Pope's own Franciscan order. The place is also regarded as sacred by Muslims and by Jews, who say it is the site of the tomb of King David. It has been the focus of two decades, notice that, of negotiations between the Vatican and Israel over religious access, as Christians are permitted to visit and pray there, but not usually celebrate Mass. Okay, so again, Christians just means Catholic. If you want to just understand the way that Christians is used today, the Protestants is totally dumped. Bible believers is totally dropped. Anytime the newspapers are mentioning Christian, they're talking Catholic. So that's just the way the world is now. Following rumors denied by the Israeli authorities that Israel planned to hand the site to the Vatican, and fearing disturbance by Jewish hardline youth to the visit, Israeli police have placed around a dozen under administrative orders. Well, now here's the Pope's delegation, and they mentioned this in part of the article, part of the CNN interview. Underlining the interfaith and ecumenical nature of the short visit, the Pope's delegation includes a rabbi and a Muslim cleric, and he will meet the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem and the two chief rabbis. Francis will visit sites regarded as holy as to the three main monotheistic religions: the Western Wall, Al-Aqsa Mosque, and the churches of the Nativity and Holy Sepulchre. This has led to some complaints from Catholic and Christian faithful that there is too much emphasis on interfaith relations, not enough on the local faithful. Visit to Yad Vashem and Mount Herzl. Like all heads of state, now pick this up, this is very interesting. Like all heads of state who visit Israel, Pope Francis will visit the Holocaust Memorial at Yad Vashem. He will also lay a wreath at the grave at the founder of Zionism, Theodor Herzl, on Mount Herzl. Pope Francis's friend and fellow Argentinian Rabbi Abraham Skorka, who is part of his delegation, said last week, that is a meaningful act. He understands the importance of the land of Israel and the state of Israel to the Jewish people. Okay, so yeah, if you ever just get interested in studying Theodor Herzl and part of the Masonic secret society stuff, and there's a difference between being an Israeli and loving Israel and being a political Zionist, which is part of the New World Order faction also. But that's another issue. So the Pope, yes, shaking up Israel. And I imagine anytime you try to divide the land of Israel or side with against God, there's going to be repercussions. There's ramifications for that. Excuse me. So we're going to see. The visit is beginning on shaky grounds already. So let's see how this progresses. And the dogs are telling me it's time to wrap it up. So thanks for listening.